Hello everybody, welcome back to Learning Biology 15.3 Part 2. Okay, so we're going to continue on the inner ear. And there are two very important structures. One of them is the cochlea and the other one is the semicircular canals. Alright, of course, including our round window, we'll talk about that as well. Okay, but first of all, when we talk about real ear, 係真正一隻耳仔嘅啦, we will mainly focus on the cochlea, of course. Okay, because cochlea is the main structure which helps us to hear things. 係幫我哋聽嘢嘅. Okay, so as I said, it's very like a snail, right? So it is a coiled tube. 代表翹埋咗一嚿嘅. And then there are three parallel canals inside, separated. 佢入邊 inside this cochlea, there are three parallel canals. Okay, 分別係邊三條啊? They are the upper, lower, okay, and central canal. So upper canal called the perilymph. Lower canal also called the perilymph. And then central canal called the endolymph. Okay, so I want you to remember something first. So when we talked about the eye earlier, we've talked about this word, periphery. Periphery means 周邊嘅, surrounding. Okay, so as you can see, the upper and lower canal this time is like the periphery. So it's called the perilymph. Why is there the word lymph? Because there are the fluid inside, and the fluid inside is called lymph. Alright? So we are talking about the fluid called perilymph. And then another one is endo. We've seen this word a lot of times. Endo means inside. Okay? So the fluid inside the central canal is called the lymph inside. So therefore, endolymph. Done that. So you do not really need to recite everything. You need to understand these words. Alright? Peri 通常係解周邊嘅 surrounding. Endo usually 係解 inside 嘅. Alright? 好啦. And then the central canal, you can find a lot of sensory hair cells. So they are like the receptors. Okay? So they are the sensory hair cells and they'll detect the vibration of the endolymph only. Okay? So first of all, when the endolymph vibrates, what will happen? The hair will stand or will bend. 佢哋會彎曲咗嘅. So what hair are we talking about? The hair of the sensory hair cells. So as you can see, look at this diagram here. Okay, so these are the sensory hair cells and they're very fine hair. They will bend. 佢哋會彎曲咗啦 when the endolymph vibrates. And somehow this bending, 佢哋彎曲呢個 action 啦 this bending action means they are stimulated. So when they are stimulated, they generate nerve impulse, and the nerve impulse will be transmitted along the auditory nerve to the auditory center of the brain for interpretation. 咁就再做分析啦。Okay? 咁所以永遠 as you can see, the procedure are always the same. They're stimulated, they bend, they generate nerve impulse, they send along. 但今次咯，唔係 optic nerve, it is called the auditory nerve. And then, not the visual center, but to the auditory center of the brain. Okay? So let's look at this diagram a bit. As you can see, this one is the cochlea, and there are three separated canals, upper canal, central canal, lower canal. Upper canal, lower canal contains perilymph, central canal contains endolymph. And then inside the central canal, inside the endolymph, you can find a lot of sensory hair cells. And there are the hair. Okay, they have the hair. This hair will be stimulated to generate the nerve impulse and then transmit them, send them through the auditory nerve to the auditory center. Okay? However, there is one very important thing. Why can we not hear loud music all the time? 點解唔應該成日聽得咁大聲呢? It's because repeated, 重複嘅 exposure, 暴露嘅 Okay? To loud sound, they will damage the sensory hair cell. Okay? And, however, of course, when they're damaged, we'll suffer from hearing loss. 即係聽唔到嘢啦. However, this damage is permanent. Okay? 要識呢隻字啦，自己讀到 permanent 係代表永久嘅 ，OK？ Because they will no longer recover once they're damaged. They cannot recover. So these two are the diagram for you as reference. This is a healthy sensory hair cell. This one is a damaged sensory hair cell. And then, before moving on to the next part, we're going to talk about the last structure called the semicircular canals. So this semicircular canal is not involved in hearing. So somehow it is not part of the ear. 佢唔屬於耳仔嘅部分嘅 Alright? It is not related to hearing. So it also contains some sensory hair cells. But these sensory hair cells, okay, they're not for hearing. They're for detecting the directions, okay, of head movements. 喺你耳仔入邊啊。So for example, why do we feel very dizzy after you spin for like several times in the same place? 喺同一個位置原地自轉 several times. Why would you feel very dizzy afterwards? That's because the sensory hair cells inside the semicircular canal, they feel like the fluid inside the semicircular canal are keep on like vibrating. Okay? So they cannot help you maintain your body balance. Okay? 就係呢個原因啦。Okay? 咁嚟咯喎。So when they are stimulated, they will generate nerve impulse to the brain for interpretation. Okay? But we need to remember this. What is the function? Mainly, it's for maintaining body balance. Okay? So I'll talk more about this body balance later. And I would just like you to know that our eyes are also very important for body balance. Okay? You may think that our eyes are only for looking things. But actually, opening our eyes and not opening our eyes may make a very big difference when we try to balance our body. Okay? So that's all for the structure parts. And there is one last part I would like to talk about is the procedure, the process. Okay? So as I said, it's very similar to our vision, our sight. 同我哋嗰個視覺好相似嘅啦。Alright? One kind tip for you is that no matter for DSE or school examination, ear is a very short section. As you can see, I can finish this section in this video. But the problem is, if it is not tested, then congratulations. But some of you, or like most of the students, do not have time to learn or revise this section. And if a question is set on ear, usually they cannot answer anything because they never studied it. Alright? So just be careful not to skip this part. Okay? Although it's a very short part. Okay? 好啦，嚟啦喎。So first of all, what is happening? Let's look at the words first. So they are collected. How are they collected? By the pinna, by the ear flap. And then they will pass through the auditory canal to the eardrum. What is the function of the eardrum? The eardrum will convert the sound wave to vibration. Okay? So eardrum will vibrate. Okay? And then it will go to the ear bones. The ear bones, what are the function again? They will amplify and transmit the vibration. Okay? So what is it connecting? Ear bone will connect 啲乜嘢㗎？ Connect the 呢個嘅 eardrum and the oval window. So this time it will transmit the vibration from the eardrum to the oval window. 嗱，逐個順序嘅 is according to the sequence. Alright? And then the oval window will vibrate. So what will happen afterwards? What is the oval window connected to? 佢連接啲乜嘢㗎？ It is connecting the ear bones and the cochlea. 所以啦 therefore, it will cause the perilymph in the cochlea to vibrate first. And then the vibration in perilymph will be transmitted to the endolymph. 再入啲嘅位置啦 getting to the inner region. So from the perilymph to the endolymph of the cochlea. And then the sensory hair cells in the endolymph will be stimulated. They will generate nerve impulse. They will travel along the auditory nerve to the auditory center of the brain for interpretation, for creating, or we say produce, the sensation of hearing. 即係代表可以俾到我哋聽到嘢啦 to produce the hearing 啦，得唔得？個 sensation 到呢個感覺啦。Okay? And then the last part, this one, number 7. We have not talked about this earlier, but it's very simple. So after it passes through the endolymph, what remains? 剩翻低啲乜嘢呢? Is that the vibration will be transmitted to the round window. Okay? And this round window will release the fluid pressure. Just said earlier. 得唔得？佢會釋放翻啦嗰個 fluid pressure into the middle ear. Okay, so just give me one more minute. Just look at this diagram, very easy. Okay, so first of all, the pinna is collecting the sound wave and then through the auditory canal to the eardrum, convert the sound wave to vibration and then ear bone amplification, all right, and transmit to the oval window. Oval window will, what will happen? So it will pass the vibration to the perilymph. Perilymph will pass the vibration to the endolymph. Endolymph will stimulate the sensory hair cells. 入邊嘅 sensory hair cell 咯。然之後啦 so it will go through the auditory canal, auditory nerve to the auditory center of the brain. Okay, so that's the end. And that creates a sensation of hearing. Okay, of course, the perilymph, as you can see the direction here, 你會望到啲箭嘴嘅 they will eventually leave through the round window. Why would they leave through the round window? 點解會嗰陣時離開呢? Because they'll release the fluid pressure into the middle ear. Okay, so that's all about this section. Alright? 好啦，咁just one final note, 最後一個提醒啦 is that remember, ear bones does not convert the sound wave to vibration. It's always the eardrum. Okay, eardrum converts sound wave to vibration. Ear bone amplify and transmit vibrations. Okay, so that's all for this section. Please finish these 2 questions and I'll see you in the next video. And from next video onwards, we're no longer talking about the human response, but we're talking about the plant response. Alright? So that's all and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.